This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Aaron Torres from the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, Aaron Torres Media, and Fox Sports Radio joining us on halftime for a Friday morning. AT, good morning, man. What's up?
You know, Phil, I got to ask, how did it go? You know, you had the dream, and you were mortified by it. The idea of having 4 days off without having anything to do. Did you survive? Are you okay? What did you do? I need to know.
Hung out, did a little eating, a little drinking, a little swimming, sitting around.
There you go.
A little binging.
Those are all the best things.
They were days taken off, which, again, this is not anything I'm very good at, but I tried. Here's the thing, though. If you are, Matt, you're right about this, too, I think. If you are trying to chill, you need lessons on how to chill.
I took a nap every week.
What was that, Matt?
I was going to say, I took a nap on Saturday and Sunday. It was amazing. It was good times off, man. Yeah.
I don't know how to do
Best
it.
life type of things.
I absolutely don't know how to do it. Meanwhile, you were working all week, AT. You didn't have a day off at all.
No, I actually, believe it or not, I had the fourth off. It was the first time in a while that I've had the fourth off. We didn't go to the beach, even though I promised on halftime last week that we would. But I actually agree with you guys. I'm very much type A, get up and get stuff done. And what I've realized is I'm okay if I plan activities to not do anything. In other words, as you said, drink, go to the pool, whatever. But when I wake up without an agenda, then that becomes, one, a little stir-crazy, but then two, you just start doing stuff around the house that you're not supposed to be doing, like work and chores and stuff like that. And so I think that is the lesson that I learned on this 4-day weekend is, okay, today – the plan is we're going to the pool. Today, the plan is it's the 4th. We're grilling at some point, and we can chill till then. Today, we're going to go, out for a long lunch and stay out for whatever. Like, it's like that was my lesson was like, if, even on my days off, I have to plan. Like, I have to put something on the schedule to relax. Otherwise, I'm going to start getting stir-crazy around the house. So that was my 4th of July lesson.
Some people are really good about it, man. Some people are not. I guess the Big 12 coaches and media members did some voting over the holiday weekend because the preseason poll for the Big 12 came out. I think this is the first of any of the leagues that has done this. And it can only be that can only mean that media days are right around the corner. And look at that. Texas has been chosen to win their final year in the Big 12. 41 first place votes. Kansas State second. There's we get a caller calls in the last couple of days. Brian, big Texas fan. He says he thinks this is the year that they really take that big leap forward and Texas is back. But then again, we've been hearing that phrase for quite a while. Why should we believe that Texas would actually be back?
I'm with you. I think the reason we should believe, is they're really talented. And, obviously I'm ramping up my prep work as well. Like, listen, they're the most talented team in that league. And, oh, by the way, the team that has been a top forever, Oklahoma, is going through some stuff. So, in theory, I get it. I guess two things. One, Texas is basically always the most talented team in that league. That's nothing new. And then two, I was thinking about this, guys, is inherently when you pick a team to do something really good, obviously, in general, you trust either the coach or the quarterback, right? Even college isn't as much of an NFL-centric game as the pros, whatever. But my whole thing is, and maybe it's because I live on the West Coast, Steve Sarkisian, I'm not rooting against the guy. He's been through all sorts of personal turmoil and has come out on the other side, and I'm happy to see him coach at the highest level again. This guy's been a head coach for 9 years at the Division I level, has a grand total of 9-win season in 9 years as a Division I head coach. And it's not like he started at, Bethune-Cookman or something. He started at Washington. Now, admittedly, that program was in kind of a downswing when he took over, but was at Washington a year and a half at USC, and now it's year 4 at Texas, year 3 at Texas, I guess. And it's like, I get it, but it's what has Sark done to make us believe? And, oh, by the way, if you go back and look at last year's results, it was a lot of the same Sark stuff. They build a big lead, and then they fall apart in the second half. And then, oh, by the way, the other thing, too, is the Quinn Ewers factors. I think everybody watched Quinn Ewers in that game against Alabama. Oh, he's awesome. Oh, he's amazing. Go ahead and look at his final season stats, and I know he was banged up for part of the year, whatever. 58% completion percentage, 15 touchdowns. Like, that doesn't scream to me overwhelming favorite in any conference, especially in the power conference. And so, you know, I can't sit here today and say I definitively feel better about it as someone else, but it's just like, man, it's just like you said, Phil, the hype continues, and at some point I actually got to see some results that are tangible.
Yeah, and they have the best safety in the country if he's healthy in Catalan. He's a kid from Arkansas that kind of it was hurt a little bit, but if he's healthy, that he'll be all right. Aaron, I wanted to ask you a little bit about San Diego State, and are they going to stay in the Mountain West?
Wild story.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
You know, it's basically, I think, a pretty public game of chicken. So I'll say this. I'll even go back to the week of the Final Four. At the Final Four, or around that time, I don't know if it was maybe a few days before, a few days after, whatever, the San Diego State AD, I thought, did something that I was very surprised by. Is he just started openly talking about, you know, we believe we're ready to take the move to the Power Five, and whenever that happens, we'll be ready to go. And I bring it up because, like, yeah, I think everyone in life strives to get to the next level, whether it's in athletics, it's in your job, it's in my job, it's in whoever. But he was openly talking about, yeah, if we get that invite, we're gone. And it was interesting because the Mountain West commissioner at the time basically acknowledged, yeah, we're going to be moving on without them. And so why I bring it up is because what has happened is that the Pac-12, and again, I live on the West Coast here, so maybe I'm paying a little bit closer attention. This Pac-12 media deal is just not coming together. And you know, every you know, month we're told it's a week or two away. You know, I've heard it's a week or two away for probably about, you know, 9 months now. And so what ended up happening was basically San Diego State had until June 30th to get out of the Mountain West, officially let the Mountain West know they're leaving. And after June 30th, their exit fee doubled to $34 million. So they, about 3 weeks ago, asked for an extension on that date of June 30th. The Mountain West naturally told them to kick rocks and basically said, this letter, we're accepting your resignation. And so it kind of became this thing where, like, San Diego State was like, no, we're not resigning. And the Mountain West was like, well, you're not really welcome back here. And so right now, this second, like, San Diego State kind of got kicked out of the Mountain West. And so it wouldn't be for this coming season, but it would be for 2024, 2025, the same year Texas and Oklahoma go to the SEC. And it could work one of two ways, in my opinion. Either one, San Diego State's going to have to make some sort of long-term commitment to the Mountain West to come back, or two, you know, the Pac-12's got to get their house in order very quickly here. But I'll just say, as somebody who lives out here, you know, I know a lot of people who cover the league pretty much on a daily basis. I don't know what that contract is going to be, but nobody seems to have confidence that it's going to be anything on par with forget what the Big Ten and the SEC got. You know, I don't think there's people that have very much confidence that it's going to be on par with what the Big 12 got about a year ago. So it's a fascinating thing. But from the San Diego State perspective, they essentially got booted out of the Mountain West a few days ago. Now, I don't think it's going to come to that result. But now there's definitely some finagling and schmoozing that's got to be done for them to figure out their future.
Our guest of ours that comes on Wednesdays, Bill King, thought that the Big 12 ought to jump on San Diego State very quickly. I think he's right about that. Just because, and I don't know, not a matter that, well, they're a perfect fit for the Big 12 or anything, but, you know, the commissioner of the Big 12, Yormark, I think he's all about going as far with that reach as they possibly can. And if TV markets are, you know, now the biggest thing that commissioners are looking at, well, there you go. Southern California, the Big 12 doesn't have a footprint there. And they're already reaching to the coast with Gonzaga for basketball, and the other coast with UConn, maybe joining in all sports, and to the south with teams playing in Mexico for basketball, and baseball teams too. So I think it would only make sense if the Big 12 made that reach. Otherwise, you're right. It's like they may just be this free agent, and you're not going to have an independent out there. They'll be somewhere, and I think the Big 12 may be the landing spot.
Well, Phil, you know, I didn't know you had talked about it with anybody else, but I actually agree 100% with Bill. And, what I can tell you is obviously, you mentioned my alma mater, UConn being in the mix for the Big 12. And based on what I have been told, I actually think Brett Yormark, as you mentioned, the commissioner of the Big 12, I think San Diego State was very much in his crosshairs. Now, what ends up happening, and we know how this stuff goes, is it gets political. You get 12 school presidents, because remember, next year the Big 12 will be at 12 teams. This year it's actually at 14. Next year it goes back to 12 when Texas and Oklahoma leave. And I think what essentially happened was you get 12 cooks in the kitchen, and not everybody is kind of on the same wavelength. But I think, Bill, they looked at San Diego State the exact same way that you did. It's obviously a great basketball product. It is it's an up and coming football product. I mean, is it? Whatever. It's an up-and-coming football product, whatever. They have pretty good Olympic sports, and as you said, you capture that Southern California market as much as San Diego State can. And, oh, by the way, here's the other thing. You then keep San Diego State out of the Pac-12. And so I think it's a combination of, I think the presidents are still a little skittish. And I'll say this, from all accounts that I've heard, San Diego State wants the Pac-12, which I'm not really sure why. I mean, geographically, it obviously makes sense, but it's obviously the much less stable conference. I mean, it feels like Oregon and Washington are, waiting for hope upon hope that they get an invite to the Big Ten at some point, which I don't necessarily think is on the horizon. So I don't know why San Diego State wouldn't be more eager to talk to the Big 12 other than geography. But listen, if we've learned one thing with this realignment stuff, geography really doesn't matter at this point, not with USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. But it's fascinating, and I'm with Bill, as I think the Big 12, I think there were certain factions in the Big 12 that absolutely wanted a harder push for San Diego State, but I think there's some people that don't want them, and then I think I'm not positive that that's what San Diego State wants, and I think that's a tactical mistake on their part.
Is the Big 12 up for grab when Texas and Oklahoma leaves? Who do you see being the Texas and Oklahoma? Because when you talk about the Big 12, those are the first two teams that come to mind as the Blue Bloods, kind of. Who takes over as top dog in the Big 12?
Well, there's no replacing him, Matt. I remember, it's so funny, right? When Texas and Oklahoma left, the big, how do you, there's no replacing Texas and Oklahoma. There just isn't. There's no facsimile that's going to join your league. But I think what they're going to try to sell, especially in football without Texas, Oklahoma, is that we have the greatest parity in the sport of college football. And so, last year it was TCU. The year before it was Baylor. Oklahoma State has had their moments in time. Maybe Houston rises up. Maybe Central Florida becomes the Big Four in the state of Florida. So I think that's what they're going to sell. But if I had to pick one program, I do think it's TCU. I think they figured out, listen, we're in Dallas. Let's keep as many of those kids at home, which isn't, brilliant out-of-the-box thinking. Sonny Dykes, when he was at SMU, I thought did a really good job with kind of those bounce-back kids that go to a Texas, go to an Alabama, and maybe it doesn't work out. And so I think he's going to get a lot of those kids. I mean, even this offseason, they were very successful in the transfer portal, getting those guys that did go to the Alabamas and places like that with Texas ties. So that would be the school to me, and I don't think it's just because they're coming off the run to the national championship game, but that's the school that, to me, is best suited to really kind of take over that league. But there's Texas and Oklahoma, just from a history perspective, a brand perspective, there's nothing like it. But like I said, I think that the Big 12 is very much going to try to sell, hey, we are the most balanced league in college football. We're not the ACC with just Clemson and Florida State. We're not the Big Ten with just Michigan and Ohio State. There's a lot here. We'll see if it works, but that's where I think they're going to try to brand themselves once Texas and Oklahoma officially do leave a year from now.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.